I struck gold and got to snuggle up in bed next to my high school teacher, but even though I graduated years ago, it still feels wrong. In high school, I had a really great art teacher. He was head of the art department at the private school I went to. There were only a few art teachers, so I was in his class more than once during the 4 years I was there. I really liked him because we had a lot in common as far as the book, music, and movies that we liked. At the time, I didn't know many people who liked the same things I did, and I was sort of obsessed with all my favorite bands and stuff, so to have somebody to talk to about it and debate about it was really cool. He also introduced me to other similar bands and things like that. Note that these conversations were always in the classroom with other students. There was never anything inappropriate between us at all. I do remember after a parent-teacher conference night, my mom coming home and telling me all of the nice things he said about me, and that she didn't know if she should let me go on this trip to Europe that he was chaperoning because he maybe liked me too much. But, statements like that were typical for my mother and were said frequently. It's like she just wanted to create gossip, and I sometimes sensed she was desperate for me to do something scandalous for reasons I don't understand. She's the biggest gossip and stirrer ever. Anyway, I went on the trip and nothing weird happened. So I'm 26 now. Well past graduation. I've since graduated college. I've thankfully glowed up since then. I ran into him at a local bar and we talked for hours, and then I went home with him, and you can imagine what went down. He was married back when I was his student. He talked about his wife a lot back then. They've since divorced, and he says the main reason is that they were initially a child-free couple by choice, but then he changed his mind and decided he wanted a family, and that wasn't something they could agree on. So I have an actual date with him tomorrow night. How weird is this? While he definitely remembered me from when I was his student, I feel like I'm meeting him as a different person now. I'm an adult and haven't been his student in over 8 years. We haven't been in touch at all since then. Can I treat this just like I would anyone else I just happened to randomly meet and hit it off with? Or is there like a general line that shouldn't be crossed since I was once his student? What do you guys think? Update. We went on an actual date yesterday and it went great. I think we both had a good time and we had plenty to talk about without any of it really being about back then when I was his student. I think that's a really positive sign. He said absolutely nothing about having any sort of interest in me back then, but I didn't expect him to. He was truly always professional as a teacher. Despite telling myself that I wouldn't repeat the intimate act with him again right away and that I'd try to take things slower so that we could actually get to know each other, the current versions of each other, not the people we were years ago, the chemistry and physical attraction was too much for me to resist. I went back to his house, again. It was amazing, like we've been together for ages and I'm totally comfortable with him. He really treats me well. I very rarely click intimately with a guy so quickly. It takes a while for me to feel comfortable enough around them in the bedroom. I spent the night, and this morning there wasn't any awkwardness. I can't stop thinking about it or about him. We grabbed coffee near my house and he walked me home since I live very close in this little neighborhood. His birthday is coming up this week and he was planning to go out with a group of friends. He's invited me along. He warned me one of the people is a former teacher from the school I attended, but I never had this teacher. I don't think he'd recognize me at all, even if I still looked exactly the same as when I graduated. I decided to bite the bullet and just ask him if he thought it was weird at all, based on how we originally met each other. He said it's a little weird if he thinks about it, but he said he probably wouldn't have even recognized me if I hadn't told him who I was. He remembered me when I told him who I was, but he doesn't really see me as the same person. He asked me if I thought it was weird and I told him not really, but I think other people might think that it is. He said he's past the point of really caring what others think. I sort of regretted bringing it up because I don't think he was really focused on whether it was weird or not, and I don't think he was really thinking about the past at all. Now I worry I put the idea in his mind that this is weird and he's going to no longer be interested. Now, reflecting on it, I think he's telling the truth when he says he doesn't look at me and think of the person I was as his student. I actually think it's me who still sees him as my teacher. He's changed much less than I have, which makes sense since I was a teenager then, and now I am not. He looks nearly the same as he did 8 years ago, so I look at him and I do see the same person. In my head, I still refer to him as Mr. XYZ. It feels weird for me to call him by his first name or to see him listed in my phone by his first name. So, now I'm realizing maybe this is more of a me problem. It really started to dawn on me after he left. I wasn't thinking of him as my former teacher at all when we were actually in the act, but afterwards my immediate internal reaction was I just spent the night with Mr. XYZ. Or who knew Mr. XYZ looked like that topless? Then I realized, oh crap, I'm thinking of him as my teacher. Either way, I want and plan to see him again and go out with him this week. I just can't see it lasting long term if I can't eventually get used to his first name at the very least. Thanks for the advice, everyone. Relevant comments. I don't know, you posted about this before and obviously got a lot of replies telling you it was a bad idea, but you ignored it and went ahead. Sounds like you made up your mind. The biggest red flag is not even your teacher anymore, but the fact that you do think it's wrong. That's why you're looking for comments to validate you and tell you it's okay instead of just trusting your judgment. And this insane chemistry you talk about sounds exactly like you are into this man because he was your teacher, not despite it. In my opinion, that's a recipe for a failed relationship, but I don't think anything we can say will deter you from continuing, so good luck.